What's up, means and mortals? This is Fang from Lords of the Trident, the most metal band on Earth. And at the end of the day, when I like to relax and kick my feet up, I turn on to my favorite podcast, the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Brutally Delicious!
Hey, you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast. I'm Bruce.
And I am Chris.
Hello.
Hello.
Jesus Christ. Today is the day of massive technical difficulty, but if you've hung around with us this long, we're going to be speaking to Fang from Lords of Trident, and this conversation quickly goes down the dumper.
Yeah, you could say it went down the dumper.
He's got a lot of good stories. This is a pretty over-the-top band, so kick back, relax, and let's join Fang.
Okay.
You're giving me a Woody now. We're that good, huh?
Fuck, dude, we're so good we made Blabbermouth.
Wow. Yeah, you're right. Isn't that great? I was like, holy shit, I'm on Blabbermouth.
7 comments, and only one of them is spam. But that one spam person made $95,000 this month. All you have to do is message her, and she'll tell you how to do it.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad that I still sound good, huh?
You sound like a motherfucker.
And I look like a motherfucker. It's all good. I told you, I'm like Jason Momoa from Aquaman.
Jason Momoa. Thanks for checking out the Brutally Delicious... Hey, fuck. Thanks for checking out the Brutally Delicious Podcast today. We really appreciate all 5 of you. I hope you go home.
Hey, Fang, welcome to Brutally Delicious. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Fang.
It's great to be here.
Right on, Fang. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm reacclimating currently to the to the American time zone. We just got back from our European tour, and I'm still shaking off the jet lag, basically.
Is it jet lag or beer lag?
You know, both. Absolutely, it's totally both. No, over there. Let me tell you, like we flew in to Brussels Airport, right in Belgium. And you know, for everybody who knows Lords of the Trident, everybody knows that I am a gigantic beer fan, beer nerd, if you will.
I love you already.
And so we landed, right? And we're in the airport, and we've been awake for, 28 hours. And there is this little convenience store in the airport. And I walk in, and they have, like, these amazing Belgian beers, Triple Carmelite, Chimay, Trappist Roquefort, for like $1, basically. I mean, they're like, every bottle is basically like €1. So, I think I don't remember the next 48 hours because I think I just spent all my money at that convenience store, but it was amazing.
Yeah. A friend of mine went to the airport in Germany, and he walked in and he ordered a beer, and the guy gave him like a full liter of beer. And he's like, whoa. I'm catching another flight. Whoa. And the guy goes, and he spoke English. He's like, what, do you want one of those lady beers? So
how did the shows go over there in Europe?
Most of the shows we played went really, really well. There was, we had some issues with the scheduling up until last minute, some miscommunications, between our label over there and some of the booking agencies. But honestly, like the shows, most of the shows that we played were absolutely incredible. Milan, down in Italy was just an absolute riot. The place was packed. It was wild, having like a whole crowd in the basement of basically a strip mall in Italy. Being our lyrics back at us. That was absolutely nuts. We also played a really amazing acoustic show in Bremen, in Germany, and we played it actually at a gaming store that set it up for us as sort of a special thing. And it was packed. It was super fun. The people were just loving it. It was really, really fun. We're definitely going to go back. If not for the amazing fans, at least for the cheap and amazing beer.
So, how did you end up playing at a gaming store?
Well, that was one of those things where, as I said earlier, there was some miscommunication and some issues between us and our label over there, and a lot of the booking that we thought was sort of set in stone ended up not being all that, set in stone. So we ended up with a situation where there was a number of shows on this tour that were, basically TBA about 2 weeks before we were planning on flying over to Europe, which is obviously a situation that no musician wants to find themselves in, because, how do you properly advertise? How do you even prep for that, for where you're going to be and where you're going to sleep and all that sort of stuff. So we reached out to our fans on Patreon. We've got a really big, really fanatic following on Patreon, which we're absolutely overjoyed about. And one of our fans over in Germany, his name is Tom. He responded back, and he's like, hey, if you guys are looking for something, I could probably help you set up a show here. Might have to be acoustic. I said, we basically said, like, hey, we'll play electric, we'll play acoustic, we'll do a cappella in your mom's garage. We'll basically do anything, And so he responded, and he's like, oh, I talked to this store owner, and the day that you're looking to, play is like a national holiday. So the store is closed, but we have this gigantic, gaming area in the back of the store. And if we move some tables and we set up some sound and stuff, and we, kind of keep it sort of a private event, we could, invite a whole bunch of people, and we could jam out, and the general public would be none the wiser, and it'd be kind of a fun little acoustic thing. So we ended up doing that, and it was just absolutely hands down the best show on our tour. It was so much fun. And they filmed it. They recorded the whole thing. We actually just posted, just about an hour ago, posted a couple of the songs, full mixed video and audio from the Bremen show up on our Patreon. So,
nice.
How many people ended up at that show?
I think there was something like 30. It was a real small space. It was, it was a gaming room,
Right.
but we packed them in, and it was basically just elbow to elbow kind of people there. And yeah, it was a really, really cool, intimate show, and a lot of fun.
That sounds fun, but also stressful. Like 20 years from now, you'll look back at that and be like, that tour was fucking awesome. But like while you're living it, you're like, fuck, how are we going to get a hotel?
Yeah. I think, if anything, I would call this tour sort of a learning experience, Like we went over to Europe, we found out what that was all about, we found out that you need to provide extra clearance for a gigantic, touring van when entering the supermarket parking lot, so that you don't scrape the shit out of the side of it. I mean, we,
Nice.
learning things. We learn things. So.
That's
So
awesome.
I have to ask, because I've asked this a couple times before, but how does it feel, or is it, you have to prep differently, or how does it feel when you're playing in front of 30 people as opposed to, say, 3,000? Is it a different vibe, or is everybody paid for the show, so it's the same kind of thing?
It's at the very nuts and bolts of it, right? It's at the very low level. It is exactly the same, playing for 3,000 and playing for 30. We want to give our goal is to give everybody a really good time, to melt a bunch of faces, to have people lose limbs. I mean, that's the end game, right? Is to make people go like, oh my God, that was the best show ever. Also, I need to find a doctor. That's basically what we're looking for.
Right.
But there's obviously a way different vibe when you're playing for 30 people than when you're playing for 3,000. I mean, when we were opening for Steel Panther, those crowds were super rowdy and super like just nuts, and there was a lot of them. So you got all of that energy coming back at you really, really heavy, which was kind of kept us going. On the other hand, when you're playing for 30 people, right, you have the ability to be a lot more targeted in like how you perform to people. So like we can actually like, jump out into the crowd, throw the microphone into somebody's face, make specific jokes about the guy in the front row. Like we can do that kind of stuff, and it lands better. We can be, I would say, like a little bit more like like calm and targeted and relatable in those small shows. And the big shows, you got to be big, bombastic, and you got to like reach all the way to the end of the amphitheater, basically, so that people get that energy. So it's playing wise, performing wise, it's similar and different all at the same time.
Awesome.
I have a strange question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on stage and looked down and watched somebody like really picking their nose, like just right in there?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I always, if somebody is close in the front row and is doing something like not paying attention, I almost seem to have a sixth sense for that. Like I almost laser focus on that person, and I'm like, okay, like somebody's on their phone down in the front row. Like I'm gonna jump down off the stage and I'm gonna like booty dance right in front of them and like, make them very conscious about it. Like I believe I've twerked on somebody before for using their phone in the front row.
The reason I ask is, like, while I was waiting for Bruce to get his shit together today, I was
hey, call me out.
Oh, sorry. I was watching Anthrax, the video for Anthrax Indians, the live video that Nuclear Blast put out. And in the first 3 seconds, there in the video, there's this guy in the crowd, and he's got his finger like way up there, and he's just digging in. And I was like, Nuclear Blast left that in. That is awesome.
you know that somebody was editing that video, and it was sort of like a disgruntled video guy, and it's like, I gotta make another stupid video for these stupid metal. But and then he's looking at the footage, and he's like, that right there, I'm keeping that right
right at the start. But like, I'm not talking. It wasn't a small pick. It was like. He was going for it. He was knuckle deep, like,
nice.
All the comments on the video were like, "Look at the nose picker."
So Fang, now I've got to ask you, because I don't know if you're a Behemoth fan, but I recently saw some posts from Nurgle, however you pronounce it, where he stopped the show because there was some couple that was having oral sex like right in the middle of the pit. So what's the craziest thing? You could Google that. I mean, he stopped the show. It's like, hey, let's give them a hand, and this girl's like going at it. But what's the craziest thing you've seen from the stage out into the audience?
Oh God. Oh man, there's there's been a lot. There's been really a lot, and it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick either, like one that comes to mind immediately or a good one. But actually, okay, one that and this was from like 1 billion years ago. It was actually, now that I think about it, it was one of our first tours. We were playing in this super, super small divey place, and they like basically forgot we were playing. So we show up and we're like, oh, cool, and there was nobody, like almost nobody there. It was all locals. There was this one woman who came up to us, and she looked kind of like, I don't know what the exact, perfect term to describe it is, but I would say methy, a little bit methy. And she's standing in front of the jukebox, and she's sort of like swaying back and forth, holding a dollar bill, trying to figure out how the jukebox works. And of course, Asian Metal's like, oh, I'll go help her. And, it's talking to her, and she's like, oh, thanks for helping me out. I used to be Amish, so I don't understand these technologies. like it's this formerly Amish meth head, right, at the show. So she ends up like out in the crowd in the front row, and sort of on the bar, right? So the bar kind of butts up against the stage at this divey bar place. So she's pounding them back. We're playing. I think we get maybe about halfway through the set, and then for whatever reason, so she's holding a big giant mug, right, of beer, and for whatever reason, like her face sort of looks up as if she's seen the face of Ronnie James Dio, or something like that, and then she smashes the mug onto her face and falls backwards onto the concrete floor like head first and passes out. and we're like, I see this happening right in the middle of a song. Like she just picks up the mug, smashes her face, and passes out. And I'm like, and we're still playing, but I'm kind of giving the eyes to everybody, like, and the bartenders see this. Long story short, the paramedics were called, and in the middle of basically the middle of the mosh pit, the paramedics come in and they load her out, and Yeah, that was an interesting night. I mean, yeah. So I guess seeing a formerly Amish meth head try to smash a beer mug on the top of her face, and knock herself out was probably one of the best things I'd seen from the stage, I'd say.
Nice. Hey, Bruce, are you there? I think we've lost Bruce.
Oh no,
He's having internet problems today, but that's okay. He'll join us back in a second. I'm not sure. It says he's still here, but I think he's just kind of disappeared on us. He's probably picking his nose.
Yeah.
So you said you were opening up for Steel Panther?
Yes, we did. Yep.
What was that like?
That was super cool, actually. Steel Panther was, I mean, obviously, gigantic crowd, super packed. I think it was sold out. We were at a giant, like amphitheater kind of a place. And Steel Panther was like hands down, other than, we've worked with a lot of really, really nice people, like clinically nice, like Unleash the Archers.
Yeah.
When we played with them on their tour, like they were the nicest
band. Great Vancouver
They were the
band.
absolute nicest people in the entire world. I mean, they're Canadian, so by law, I think they have to be. But
they're from my hometown.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I'm from there.
Well, let me tell you, they are absolutely like Brittany is one of the nicest people I've ever met. She is an absolute gem of a person. The whole band is amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Steel Panther was also just like incredibly nice. Like, outside of their characters and such like that. I mean, like they were one of the coolest and most down to earth, bands ever. They had a gigantic, green room down in the basement of the place, and we had this like tiny little. It actually wasn't all that bad. It was a pretty decent sized green room up in the second floor.
Yeah.
They actually sent one of their staff members, one of their runners, up to the second floor after we met them.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, the guys in Steel Panther are giving, $100 of their catering budget to you guys. Do you want me to go get you some pizzas and beers and stuff like that? And we're like, yes.
Fucking right,
and
we do.
and then they're like, what kind of beers would you prefer? I can go down to the store and pick up, blah. I'm like, I don't think anybody at a bar has ever asked me that ever before.
I guess you could say they really melt pussies.
Exactly.
It's a real pussy melter.
Oh yeah.
So Bruce, did you get that joke, Bruce?
I was disconnected. My internet is shitty here, and I was out of the conversation for a little bit.
We were talking.
Okay.
We were talking about melting pussies.
Oh, I guess I'll get it when I start editing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whoa!
So, yeah,
what the hell are you showing me? God, get that out of my face! What the fuck's going on there? Jesus, Bruce. It's your hand. It's your hand. Jesus. I thought it was going to be another one of the. We did an interview a few weeks back where the guy answered the call and he was on the toilet.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, 1 second, man, I got to get up. We're like, oh,
And he had the video on.
He had the video on. Well, awesome. So, for people that don't know your band, how would you describe your music?
Yeah, so Lords of the Trident is basically the most metal band on earth. We are, more or less, if you want to describe it, it's essentially like the sound of riding into battle on horseback, charging into a horde of 1,000 people, while Iron Maiden, Dio, Judas Priest is playing in the background, kind of all mixed together. It's a little bit of that. A lot of people say that we're part power metal, part traditional heavy metal, and parts Manowar or something like that. But yeah, it's sort of like that. It's a lot of people will listen to the album and immediately die just because the music is so it's so forceful, so amazing. We used to have a sticker actually that came on a lot of our albums that we'd recommend putting on a full plate of armor, like the night stuff just before you hit play. Just because we had so many people, die. They banned the first album in like 48 countries because of, risk of death and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, like in general, it's pretty awesome music is what I would say.
Awesome. Now, you just kind of you're like, You just described 3 huge new wave of British heavy metal bands.
Yeah.
So you guys got that kind of vibe going.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Fucking A.
We try to keep it a little bit more towards the it's hard because like a lot of people say we're power metal and a lot of people say we're more like 80s new wave of traditional heavy or new wave of heavy metal kind of thing. I let people sort of decide what they think we are. I just say we're heavy metal. I just kind of leave it at that.
Right on.
But yeah, I mean we do definitely appreciate Dio, Maiden, Priests, all the greats,
Bruce, your mic's not working, Bruce. There's no fucking microphone going here, Brucey.
Poor Bruce.
Bruce is having a rough week. I mean, look at the guy's hair. He's just fucked. Such an asshole. I'm only this much of an asshole when he can't respond to me. All right. Bruce, you're still not there. Remember, you have to hit save. You have to hit save. You can't hear Bruce, but he's mouthing the words, fuck you. Okay, I'll take over Bruce's regular spot here as he's a bit technically challenged.
All right.
So, Bruce always does this thing here where he asks people, since you've never listened to this podcast before, this podcast is more about casual conversations with musicians so people get to know you better as a person. Not so much about like, wow, where did you get your band name or what's your favorite song or any of that bullshit.
Sure.
So Bruce likes to ask this question. Why are tennis balls fuzzy?
Why are tennis balls fuzzy? That's a good question. I would assume that, well, I guess I'd have 2 different reasons. I think first off, right, if you think of the tennis ball coming at the racket and it's sort of deforming as it hits the racket, you think if it was rubber, it would probably the friction would probably cause more wear and tear on the, what is it, like the neoprene or I don't know what the racket, like, actual racketing on the racket is made out of. But you think that maybe like rubber or hide of some kind would cause those things to wear out faster. I'd also think that, maybe having a little less grip on the surface as it approaches the surface might be useful in terms of not being able to say like curve a ball as much as you would to kind of keep the trajectory of your serve in mind, and also might cut down on wind resistance a little bit. I mean, I know people are hitting those balls at so crazy amounts of speed that if it were something that were a little bit less aerodynamic, with the fuzz, then it would probably prevent it from reaching speeds where you need some sort of like carbon fiber backed racketing on your racket in order to make tennis work, basically.
Hey Fang, can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
Are you an analytical guy?
What gave you that idea?
Well, that's the longest answer we've ever had. That was awesome. You're like, I could just see you. Your eyes were closed. You were imagining the tennis ball. Things were moving. You're working out the physics for the tennis ball. You're thinking about the velocity of the strings. You're just going all over the place. Okay. I'll ask. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, I'm back, but I guess I'm using my phone now because my laptop is whacked today for some reason.
All right, well, you missed the best answer of why tennis balls
I heard that.
fuzzy in the entire world.
What was going on. That was pretty fantastic.
That was like Google Analytics, but from a metal musician right there.
Yeah.
I didn't think that Chris was going to be able to carry the torch for me, but he handled it quite well.
Excellent.
All right, so since I've been out of this loop for half the conversation, and Chris has sort of hogged it up. What has been? You guys have a pretty over-the-top production. What has been the biggest on-stage gear failure or mishap? I like when you're laughing. That means you got a good one.
Oh man. Okay. 2-parter, right? So we have this, or I should say, we used to have this gigantic 6.5 foot tall Trident made out of PVC that was an air cannon that would shoot off confetti into the crowd, right? And I built this thing myself, all out of PVC and ball valves and all that sort of stuff. And we would load in to the Trident before every show, shredded up credit card bills and stuff like that, because nobody's stealing your identity on a sticky barroom floor. I can absolutely guarantee it. They're not going to be able to piece together my social security number even when it's shredded up, on this barroom floor.
Right.
So we'd take right before the show, we'd put, I don't know, like 80, 90 psi of air into these 3-inch PVC legs that it stood on. And I mean, these things were massive. I mean, 3 inches in diameter, 4 foot tall, maybe 4 or 5 feet tall. There was a lot of air in there. A lot.
This seems like some serious engineering going on here.
Yeah, I like to Google things, basically. So there was two major issues that happened with that giant Trident. The first one was, just for fun, I would like to sort of point it diagonally and kind of ride it, kind of like I was riding a horse, and maybe mouth the words "giddy up" with my as I was riding it. So obviously, if you wedge it incorrectly, you get a lot of pressure going down into like the small center point failure right before the ball valve on this giant PVC structure. And one night, maybe it just got a little brittle. I don't know. I was riding it. I was doing my whole, giddy up, like it's going to explode. This giant Trident is a euphemism for my dick, sort of a thing. And then I must have thrusted down a little too hard, and the PVC broke, and all 90 psi of all of this air went right into my junk. And
that's when you go from normal voice to
well, it certainly helped with the high head voice for the rest of the night. I will say that. I had to turn around for a few minutes and just sort of give one of those like whoo kind of a thing,
Nice. That's beautiful.
The second part of this story was, okay, so I fixed it, right? It broke, I fixed it. Actually constructed a whole brand new one. And we'd been using it for, I don't know, maybe 120, 150 shows, no problems. And we were playing this one club, and the club had a drum riser, which is cool. The problem is that the drum riser was not secured to the stage. And so you can kind of see where this is going. I put the Trident fully loaded, fully, pressurized up on the top of the drum riser. And I went off to do other things, probably, set up the merch booth or whatever. We were kind of organized things. We were the second band of the bill, and there was a bunch of people that came out to see us. I mean, the place was packed. And our drummer starts testing the kick, thump, 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 for the sound guy. And the sound guy turns the subs on, and it goes boom, boom, boom. And as he's kicking, thump, 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 the drum riser, because the subs are now on, is going like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And of course, the fully pressurized, thing made out of PVC is now swaying back and forth, and nobody sees this, And so, maybe 10, 12 kicks in, the thing topples over, lands in the center of the stage, and explodes into shrapnel.
Nice.
And I mean, it was this loud, gigantic explosion, almost sounded like a gunshot, and shrapnel goes everywhere. And amazingly, the people in the front row were completely unscathed, but the shrapnel sort of launched in an arc and hit a bunch of people like center midway back. One guy got it like right through the arm. One guy got cut on the neck. One guy got really, really awkward, because we like killing people during our show, not before. And I was worried, because we had been fighting with this club about using pyrotechnics. We've been fighting with this club about using confetti. We'd been fighting, and they said, okay, no pyro, but you can use confetti. Okay, fine. And this is after like a chain of 50 emails going back and forth, like, you're ruining our stage show. And then we, proceed to, send shrapnel into the audience right before we play. So luckily, the people that got hit were like those old school kind of metal dudes. And so they're like, oh, whoa, dude, I'm bleeding, yeah. They just got really excited.
Because I was thinking, holy shit, the U.S. is the land of liability. Someone's getting fucking sued here.
That's exactly what I thought. Those were my exact thoughts. But everybody was like super cool about it. Obviously we never use that ever again at that club.
At that club.
Well, and since that happened, we re-engineered the Trident to actually become a giant sword, and the sword is now made out of galvanized steel. So if that thing explodes, everybody's dying. There's going to be nobody left to sue because everybody will be dead. So,
oh, that's awesome.
That's beautiful. Chris, you got anything else?
I don't, man. I'm good. Thank you.
Hails, listeners. All right, we're about to play the first track off of Shadows from the Past, Death Dealer. Before we do that, I want to make sure everybody is completely safe. So grab your strongest helmets. It can be made out of plate steel. It can be made out of galvanized steel. Just basically anything that keeps your brain intact before we start turning this song up. Because otherwise, the Surgeon General has linked this song to brain melting and face contortions and neck snapping. So throw on your helmets. This one is called Death Dealer.
Thanks for checking out the Brutally Delicious... Hey, fuck! Thanks for checking out the Brutally Delicious podcast today. We really appreciate all 5 of you. I hope you go home.
You actually
have
sound
a
like
Jack
one of those
and Coke and fucking get wasted.
You sound like one of those Z100 DJs there for a minute.
You want me to do that? I can do that voice for you if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do it. What the hell?
Okay.
We'll add it right in here.
Thanks for listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast today. On the drive at 5, we have Bruce bringing you bullshit.
Nice. Dude, I don't even know whoever listens this far along, and they're probably like, all right, click, we're done.
Fuck these guys.
But I will tell you, that was a great interview. It was fun, lots of good stories, and go ahead and check out Lords of Trident.
Do it.
Hello out there.
Yes, hello out there, everyone. I'm Hal Schwartz.
And I'm Flynn McLean. Together we host None But the Brave, a podcast dedicated to the music and career of Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce and E Street Band are on tour right now for the first time in 6 years, and we're taking a detailed look at what's happening on stage in our bi-weekly episodes.
We've also been recently joined by some very exciting guests, including rock journalist Warren Zanes and Stephen Hayden, Backstreet's Magazine founder Charles Cross, and Barstool's Kirk Minahan.
If you're a diehard Springsteen fan, this is the show for you.
So please subscribe to None But the Brave on your favorite podcasting platform, and we hope to see you further on up the road.
Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you.